Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us today for the webinar, Less Stress Path to Accessible Canvas Courses. We're going to get started in just a minute, but as you come in, we'd love for you to introduce yourself. So we have a little prompt for you today. We want to know, since we're working on this idea of reducing stress and travel and that accessibility is a journey, we want to know, what are you doing for the most important thing for traveling, which we all know, snacks. Snacks. What are you packing for your travel snacks? So if you would, in your chat, make sure your chat drop down is set to everyone and tell us where you're coming from and what either hiking or travel snack are you packing on your journey. What's your favorite hiking or travel snack? Jennifer, do you have a favorite snack that you pack?
Well, I'm going to go with a pretty traditional trail mix, but I do make it myself. And of course, it includes a mix of nuts and real salty ones, and dried fruit, and of course, a little chocolate for that boost of energy.
Yum, 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 yum. Love
Yeah.
it. Stephanie, do you have a favorite hiking or travel snack you take with you?
On road trips, I always loved to stop and get Gardettos, but they like 7 years ago or something, they took out the little sticks with the sesame seeds, and it was a real tragedy.
Oh no.
It's dedicated to that tragedy. But I see a few people talking about, I see tortilla peanut butter roll-ups. My husband's aunt swears by peanut butter and pickle sandwiches on a hike, and
Ooh,
she says don't knock it till you try it. Bizarre, but throwing that out there for anyone who needs a new snack idea.
a little protein and then some salt to help you retain the hydration, maybe?
Little crunch. It doesn't go as
Okay.
bad as maybe meat. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah.
Nutritionally, I can understand it, but my taste buds are not on board yet.
Novelty, maybe worth a try once. Very good. Stephanie, will you do me a favor and check your volume settings? You are a little on the quiet side again.
Oh, let's go in there and see.
Sounds good. Yeah, please continue to tell us where you are coming from and what your favorite hiking or travel snack is. Ooh, I want a homemade fruitcake. That sounds delicious. Sounds delicious. And make sure that your chat drop down is set to everyone. It defaults to just a host and panelist. And as much as we love seeing your chat and your fun snack suggestions, we want everyone to know what are your favorite hiking or travel snacks. We're gonna get started in just a second here. We're gonna let more people join. We're very excited to have you today for this webinar.
Jump in and test the sound. Is it better now?
Much better, thank you.
Okay, I just had to toggle that setting on and off again. It was already on, but who knows? Okay.
Mmm. Upvoting peanut butter and pickle sandwiches. I love it. This might be the divisive one. Peanut butter and pickle sandwiches.
I will admit my curiosity is piqued. I don't know if I'm not brave though.
I could kind of imagine it working, right? There's a sweet, salty, crunchy thing that might be very appealing. Yes, we are going to be sending out the recording. It will go out tomorrow, so no worries on that. And make sure that your drop down is set to everyone as it defaults to hosts and panelists.
Kristen, do you want me to jump to the next one?
All right, I think,
So,
yeah, let's go ahead and get started.
Okay.
So welcome to our webinar, The Less Stress Path to Accessible Canvas Courses. I am Kristen Powers, the Marketing Engagement Director at Cidi Labs. Today we're going to explore how to navigate the complexities of accessibility with ease, using innovative tools to minimize the time and effort required for content remediation. We'll traverse through uncharted terrain into practical strategies to prioritize and manage accessibility tasks efficiently, track your progress, and celebrate your achievements along the way. Whether you're just starting your accessibility journey or looking to refine an existing approach, this session will provide you with valuable insights and actionable tips. Let's make sure you're prepared for our trek today. This webinar is being recorded, so if you go off trail and miss anything, we've got you covered. We've set some time aside at the end of this journey to answer any of the questions that come up as we go. So please use the built-in Q&A feature of Zoom for any product or feature questions, as we are demonstrating a whole lot of fun and exciting things today. We have some Cidi Labs support scouts on the lookout for your questions so they can answer those immediately, but we'll also be marking some questions to save for the end. So use that feature and don't put them in chat, put them in the Q&A so that they don't get lost in the wilderness of your chat thread. If you haven't changed your chat drop-down yet, make sure it's changed to everyone so that we can all see your comments. Now, please allow me to introduce our guides for today's excursion. Stephanie Tate is a former customer who recently joined our team as our product and marketing manager. Throughout the demos today, Stephanie will be sharing the experiences from an instructor perspective. Jennifer Malkovich is our VP of Product Management and Marketing. Throughout the demos, Jennifer will be sharing the experiences of an admin through different moments across the accessibility journey. Our two support scouts who are with us behind the scenes today are Julie Van Dorn, who is also a former customer, who is our manager of training and documentation, and Jacob Bates, who is one of the original developers of the You Do It product from the University of Central Florida, and he is now our director of LTI development. They'll be answering questions in the Q&A and helping us save questions for the end. This is just a small fraction of our team who helps make sure that you fall in love with the journey. We have some team members in chat, so please say hi, team. If this is your first time joining us for Cidi Labs, let me tell you a little more about us. Cidi Labs was founded out of a partnership with Utah State, where Kenneth Larson, our co-founder, was working as an instructional designer. He was given permission to hack Canvas and started making the first iteration of what would later become Design Plus. Over the years, our team has grown with educators, instructional designers, and former customers who are drawn to improving the learning experience for everyone. We have 6 products for Canvas, from accessibility to course lifecycle management. All of these tools have been developed in partnership with our customers and with partnerships through universities. Today, we'll be showing off 3 products: You Do It, Tidy Up, and Ready Go, that'll help reduce your stress along the accessibility journey and help you reach your milestones. If you're curious about any of our products, please reach out for a demo so we can help you find the right tool for your needs. I'm going to drop a link in chat so you can sign up for a live demo with us. And then I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Stephanie, who's going to help you gather some information for us to navigate together today.
All right. So, hello, everyone. While we have a route planned for our session, we want to start with a poll before we embark that will help us guide the group and really highlight moments during the journey that matter most to you. So the question for you all is this: if you could take away one souvenir from our journey today, it would be the ability to do what? And we've got several takeaways listed, from configuring an accessibility scorecard that automatically scores courses based on your institution's priorities, to reducing the amount of content needing remediation, to supporting instructor learning and accessibility right inside Canvas. So we'll give you a moment to look that list over.
Yeah, it looks like my adding a poll yesterday did not actually set in. And so I am quickly making that poll for you, and it'll be up in just about 1 minute.
You can see the options on the slide, so this will give you a head start. Look those over. Do the difficult work of, if you have to only pick one souvenir, right? What would you pick? And then when the poll is launched, you'll be able to select away.
The good news is that we aren't going to limit you to one. At the end of the webinar, you will be able to take them all. So for now, we're asking you to prioritize, but don't worry, there won't be a limit.
No, absolutely not.
All right, here we go. Thank you for your patience.
Some quick work.
I know, so fast.
Yay for copy and paste.
I'm actually really looking forward to seeing what comes out on top here. Helps give us a sense of priorities and kind of what are the topmost challenges in all of your minds.
Yeah, thanks, Julie. Some of you were troubleshooting for us and just answering in the poll thing or in the chat. Thank you. But double up in the poll so we can, see that across the board for all of you. All right, well, we can let people keep selecting and I'll jump us forward. And then Kristen, you just let me know when we're closing that poll up and we'll review. But as Kristen mentioned at the top of the webinar, our tools have been designed as practical solutions for the real and important work that you do. When it comes to current accessibility work, for some of you, your primary focus may be ensuring your courses are Title II compliant, or others of you may be gearing up for a specific portion of your journey, like tackling all those untagged PDFs in your courses, right? Today, we want to showcase how our tools can support your accessibility journey every step of the way, no matter what your current location is, or what your next destination might be, or how many obstacles you anticipate facing.
So I'm going to go ahead and share the results for the poll. We have a very high for easily guide instructors to complete accessibility tasks. That's the souvenir people most want to take away from today, with second being reduce the amount of content needing remediation.
Great.
Those are top two.
Awesome. Well, that'll help us really highlight those moments as we go through today. So lastly, before we head out on our journey in this session, we want to calibrate to the underlying reality of accessibility work. Accessible courses are good for all learners. Just like the curb cut example in a sidewalk, where making crosswalks accessible for wheelchair users helps cyclists and pedestrians pushing strollers, which is my life situation right now. Simple accessibility fixes like headings or descriptive link text really support learning for all. So while we share super practical tips and tools to help you make your journey less stressful today, we want to keep ourselves directed toward accessible courses for all learners as true north on this journey. So
All right. Oh, sorry, Stephanie.
Good.
Oh, I think it's time to review our agenda, or maybe I should say our itinerary, right? We chose this metaphor of a journey today, not only because it's obviously fun, who doesn't love a good journey, but also because at Cidi Labs, we really do see accessibility work as a journey, not a destination. So as with every journey, there are many different ways to travel. And our hope today is to enable you to take an easier, less stress path on this journey to more accessible Canvas courses. We've outlined 4 key segments of our journey today, starting with surveying the landscape, where we'll help get you the information you need to prepare for a successful journey and really map out the best route, that less stress route. And then we'll walk through ways to lighten the load or lessen our baggage, making the journey much easier to manage. And then we'll start to gain some momentum on our journey, which includes, of course, learning along the way and getting those experiences that really motivate us to continue on a journey. And finally, my favorite part, we'll pause to take in the views and really just admire our progress. So, as with all journeys, bringing along the right equipment can make all the difference, right? So we'll be exploring 3 tools today, which can not only individually help you in your accessibility work, but when they're put together, they really result in a powerful combination that can support every step of the journey. UDoIt is our Canvas course accessibility assistant, and it's the tool that lets you remediate and also learn about accessibility issues. So that's going to be the tool that really helps with the biggest souvenir you all identified. It also has a powerful admin companion tool that we're going to look at as well, that helps you monitor accessibility at the account level. Tidy Up is a Canvas course cleanup tool that lets you feel like Marie Kondo as you conquer clutter. And if you don't realize, that really relates a lot to accessibility, which we'll explore today as well. And finally, Ready Go is our brand new course lifecycle management system that helps you oversee and streamline all of that work involved. And you know, it's a lot of work to support your accessibility and quality at work initiatives at scale. So with that, I think it's time to get going.
Yeah. With any journey, surveying the landscape is a really critical first step to understand the details of your trip. I'll give you a quick example of how to not do it. I once agreed to hike the North Rim Trail in Yosemite with my husband in a day. And while he knew some details, that it was about 19 miles and that it promised some of the best views in all of Yosemite, he didn't know, or at least he didn't share with me, that the hike began by laboring up a series of switchbacks that included this 1.7-mile stretch with a 2,600-foot elevation gain. In short, we were not prepared to begin that 19-mile journey with one of the most grueling trails in Yosemite. Maybe I would have, paced myself a little differently had I known. Just like it would have been nice to know what we were getting into on that hiking journey. When it comes to an accessibility journey, you want as much information as possible upfront about what work lies ahead so that you can plan and prepare for success.
So I couldn't agree more, Stephanie. I've had that experience myself, just sort of lacking perspective. And so today, in order to properly survey the landscape, we really need to get a good vantage point, which in this case is really having the ability to easily gather and aggregate data about your Canvas courses to understand how accessible they are. And if they're not, where do the problems lie? So with the right set of data, you can not only assess the state of accessibility within and across your courses, but you can also identify the most common issues that are happening across courses and really help map out a route for your training needs and your plan for remediating those issues to meet your goals. So some of you might be thinking at this point, that sounds great, but gathering that type of accessibility data isn't as simple as checking a topographical map or seeing all those traffic lines on your GPS. Well, I am happy to share that with UDoIT's forthcoming accessibility scorecard functionality, you'll have the vantage point that you need to really understand the accessibility landscape at your institution. So let's take a look. Okay, so as we mentioned earlier, UDoIT has an admin component that we are looking at here. It's accessible within Canvas. And of course, it is deeply integrated, like all of our tools are, with Canvas, so you can easily see the real-time Canvas data. So this new scorecard will be available at the account and sub-account level in order to really choose the set of courses across Canvas that you want to look at, as well as the set of time, so the term that you may want to focus on. And in addition to giving an overall accessibility score, an aggregate score across all your courses, which is a good indicator, you also will have the ability to drill down and really understand what is making up that score. So to do that, the scorecard has organized issues into 3 different categories based on impact levels. So what are those really high impact issues that are going to make the biggest difference in accessibility versus the ones that just carry a little less weight? Speaking of weight, each of those categories has a different weight assigned that play into the formula. And you'll see a score for each category. So that's really meaningful, right? We can see that our score down here is pretty low, but at least it's low on low impact issues. So we might not be as concerned about that. But we can also see here that this score on the high impact issues has a long way to go toward improvement. And so that can really direct our attention to what we might want to focus on as a priority. Also, if I want to learn more about what is making up that category score, I can expand it and see the types of issues that have been designated by my institution as high impact that are really, again, contributing to that score and how we're faring on those. So here you can see, looking at the data, we are not doing too well on issues pertaining to links and video captions. So that really tells me I might want to put together a training for our instructors that really focuses on the importance of video captions or descriptive links for those screen reader users. We can also see that while the score for images is not too bad, we have a lot of images that still need alt text work. So these are some examples of how you can really glean the information you need to gather in the scorecard to kind of get that vantage point. And while I'm here, I'd like to just point out that this scorecard is totally customizable for each institution. So you can change those weights. Perhaps if you want to up the weight or lower the weight of anything and balance it the way that makes sense to your institution. Also, if there are issues that we will provide a default, of course, but if there are issues that you feel are really important, you know, there are a lot of tables in your courses or embedded media, for example, you could bump that up to high impact and really decide again where these types of issues lie in terms of your focus on impact and priority. And the last thing I'll show here is we can go over to the courses tab and now see a score column here. And that would make it really easy for us to quickly sort by score and identify the courses that have the lowest scores. And so that we might want to really reach out to those instructors and encourage them to start using UDoIT more to fix their issues. Or I love the positive example of looking at the highest scores and reaching out to those instructors to give them a high five and congratulate them and really encourage them to keep on moving. So as you can see, this new admin scorecard will really provide you with that key vantage point that you need in order to keep moving along in the journey.
Amazing. And with all that information at your fingertips and the planning it allowed for, you're ready to get going on your path, right? Oh.
We have found a faster route using TidyUp and ReadyGo that will lighten your load. Press Accept to continue.
Well, I thought we were ready, but apparently there's a faster route, and I love when I'm provided those faster routes. And I think this one might save you more time than the occasional like 1 to 2 minutes your Google Maps promises when you accept the new route.
All right, well, we've arrived at our next segment of the journey, which is focusing on lightening the load. So how many of you at some point on a trip, you don't have to raise your hand, but you know, maybe self-reflect, have realized that you took way more than you needed, making your travels a little bit cumbersome. I myself am a guilty overpacker, but maybe there are some minimalists out there who realize that taking the time to whittle down your belongings to the bare essentials can make a much smoother journey. Kudos to you. Lightening the load is a concept that we're going to apply to the accessibility journey now as well. And here we're just saying that an important step to take really early in the journey is to take some time to remove any unnecessary baggage, as it will make the rest of the journey much easier. And what do we mean by baggage here? Well, we are talking about all of the unused, unneeded, duplicative, maybe even triplicative, if that's a word, course files and content that are just cluttering up your Canvas courses. You don't want to waste precious time and resources remediating content that students will never even see. That's like carrying a bunch of bulky, heavy things that you'll never even use on your trip. Another way I want to point out to lighten the load that we're going to look at is to work up front on distributing the load effectively. So on a backpacking trip, you wouldn't have one person carrying all the heavy things, no matter how strong they were, right? You might feel a little bad about that. Here, we're going to show you how our tools can make it easier to bring others like instructors along for the journey and to really provide them with clear ways they can help carry the load. So getting back to your #1 souvenir here. So we are now going to take a look at 2 tools that, especially when used together, can make it so much easier to lighten your load. First, we're going to use our new version of Ready Go, which puts insightful data from Canvas and Cidi Labs tools at your fingertips to find the courses that have the most clutter or baggage. And then we'll use ReadyGo's task management and communication capabilities to distribute the load of really cleaning up those courses, decluttering those courses. And that's when Tidy Up comes in. We'll show you how to use it to quickly identify and delete unused files and content from your Canvas courses to avoid wasting time focusing on accessibility issues in content that's not even used. If I recall, that was the second most popular souvenir. So we'll definitely make sure you take that away as well. All right, so I think it is time to lighten our load. So I am now in our new Ready Go tool. And as you can see, we can organize courses into batches that really is just a convenient way to group courses together that we want to work with for particular reasons. So as you can see here, I have created a batch for our accessibility audit. What is so great about Ready Go is that it allows you to kind of say goodbye to those unwieldy spreadsheets you might be working with, where you have to manually add data from other systems and not to mention manually maintain it. And this will eliminate that need because it is automatically integrated with Canvas and with all of your Cidi Labs tools in order to keep this data updated and all at your fingertips. So you can see here, we have things like, is the course published? Or, how much instructor activity is in there? How much content is in there? Students, once these courses get going, some of this data will fill in more. And also, as a great example of how this integrates with your Cidi Labs tools, you can see the % of content using Design Plus. That's a good thing to know, right? So here we are going to move some windows out of the way, and we are going to, like every good spreadsheet, add some more data to it. So if I go to this Manage Columns area, I have the ability to not only reorder my columns, I can also add data to this. So I'm going to look at our options to add information about what's happening in UDoIT. So I can easily determine how many errors are happening in all these courses. And maybe I also want to know, when was this course last scanned? Moving down to our Tidy Up data, I'm also going to see when it was last scanned and perhaps how much unused content and unused files is in each of these courses. So just like that, I add the columns, and yes, the data will be there as well. I'm also going to enable this alerts feature in Ready Go so that we can take a look at that as well and how it might play a role. So once I apply those new columns to our view, you will scroll over, and now we can see not only have the columns been added, but all of the data as well. So we still have a pretty good amount of courses in here. And so I'm going to further filter this set of courses. Again, much like a spreadsheet, you can filter the data to really hone in on what you want to look at. And I can now, let's say, we're going to find the courses that have the most errors, so the highest error count. And for simplicity purposes, I'm going to make that a low number. And I can add an additional filter to perhaps, also include the courses that are the most cluttered. So let's look at the courses with the highest amount of, unused content. And that will really allow us. Now, once we apply that filter, we can see that we have a much more manageable set of courses to work with now. One of the other great things is that now that we've taken the time to really hone this view the way we want it, we can go ahead and save our quick view, which I think of as really like a tab in a spreadsheet. And once we do that, this is our accessibility quick view. What's really magic about this is that we now have it in this list of quick views. And so the next time we come in with another whole new batch of courses to perform an accessibility audit on, we can just select that quick view and all of the filters and all of the same columns will be applied automatically. So again, saving you tons of time. I also wanted to point out this alerts column that I had added. This is an automated way to be looking at your data behind the scenes. ReadyGo is looking at your data and looking at certain things. So is a syllabus there? Has Design Plus been used for the syllabus? Things like that. Things that you want to be alerted to. And so here we added a custom alert to notify us when a course has cluttered file area. So we just went in and added a criteria to create this alert. Any course with more than, I can't remember what it was, 50 unused files, let's throw an alert. So that's just another way to kind of have this data working for you and have it at your fingertips. So now that we've really honed in on a set of courses, there's a few things that we can do by selecting all those courses to really start distributing that workload as we talked about. So I'm going to add a checklist that we have created. Actually, I'm going to add two. We created a checklist, which is essentially a set of tasks that will provide those clear instructions to all of the instructors and designers in this course, which Stephanie will show from her perspective in a moment, to these courses. And so I'm going to add both the course cleanup task list as well as the accessibility task list while I'm in here. And just like that, I can add it to all of the courses. You can see it here. So we can also in ReadyGo look at that task list and perhaps check things off. Speaking of the scanning, if we had looked at that column to find that the scans had not happened recently, in this case they have, we could go back up to our bulk actions. We could run the You Do It and Tidy Up scans from here to make sure that the people in those courses had the latest data and that we weren't relying on them to run the scan. And while I'm here, I'll do one more thing. I am going to send a message to our instructors of these courses to really, again, get them started on this fun cleanup initiative. So by sending a message from here, this will send it directly to their email. And again, a way to get them engaged in the process easily once you've really focused on these new courses or these courses that you've honed in on. So with that, I think it's time to hand it over to Stephanie to really continue the journey and show us from the instructor perspective.
Yeah, so, I'm an instructor and I just got this email through ReadyGo. And I think this is so helpful because it really meets your instructors where they are in their inbox. If they haven't spent a ton of time in ReadyGo, this is just a way to move them into that space where they can further be a part of that accessibility work distribution and even start using some of that centralized communication and task management that exists inside ReadyGo. So I got my email and I'm like, oh, I'm going to go clean up my course. So I can head into the course that this message was referring to. I'll go ahead and open this in a new tab just so we have some space, but I'm opening the ReadyGo instructor view portion for myself from the course navigation. And when I'm here, I see those checklists and tasks associated with my course that Jennifer just added. Here they are. So if I wanted to head over to that panel, I could engage with them here, but I'll head to this panel, checklists and tasks, just to expand these a little bit more. And I can see some of the elements here. But notice I was told I needed to do a course cleanup. So when I head into my course cleanup tasks, I can even drill into these tasks to see if there's any additional support. And I want to say this, those of you who are talking about wanting to help support your instructors, this is an amazing option here where you're in the description for any task, you can even provide just-in-time support resources. I could learn how to watch Tidy Up and then go to Tidy Up over here in my course and begin the process of cleaning up my course. So a lot of you were interested in cleaning up your courses as well. Tidy Up is our simple magic tool to help you with that. You can just select that green scan course button, and essentially what's happening is Tidy Up is looking for unused files and content in your course. And the way it determines whether things are unused, if we start by thinking about files, files are in use if they are linked or embedded in some of your Canvas content, think like on a page, or linked in a module, right, as one of the module items. And so anything that doesn't meet those parameters is marked as unused because it's not living anywhere outside of the files area in your course. Perhaps it's just a bunch of clutter. With Canvas content, it'll be similar, but we'll talk about that a little specifically when we can see that piece. But we're brought first in Tidy Up when the scan is complete to see all of our files. And I love this because you have an ability to see all of your course files in one place. And this might not seem that exciting, but think about in your Canvas files, when you want to, locate particular files, you're jumping in and out of folders to do a lot of work. You can choose to show all files in your course, which allows you to filter, sort, search, and perform a variety of actions on them really quickly without that jumping in and out and getting lost in Canvas files. But we're here to lighten your load. And let me show you how quickly you can clear unused files from your Canvas courses. Here in my show filter, I can choose unused files. And like that, Tidy Up has shown me all of the files, again, that aren't linked or embedded in some kind of Canvas content or linked in a module for me. Presumably, these are not in use. I could certainly scroll to review them, but if I'm ready to go and get rid of this clutter to reduce that load of my accessibility work, I can select all items. Notice I'm working 100 at a time right now. That's so that I can download a little backup. If I select download selected, a zip file will be created with these 100 files. This is a nice little reminder to do this because perhaps a week later you realize you did want Turtle 1 JPEG, but probably not if it wasn't used in your course. You could go ahead and download all of those items and have that backup. And then once you've got your backup, the great purging moment. Just delete those selected items. And you're again shown this review, a quick reminder, are you sure you want to delete these? And if you're ready to go, you can delete. And that'll delete, up to 100 entries at a time. You could continue on if you have more than 100 unused files in your course, depends on the clutter, right? What I would be left with if I had gone through that full deleting process would be all the files that are in use in my course. And there's a couple other ways that you can improve accessibility and usability with Tidy Up. Because you can see all of your files at a glance, I could scan and notice, just visually scanning, some of my files don't have descriptive or intuitive naming, and I could very easily press the edit icon here in Tidy Up and make changes to these file names. Perhaps this is my week 3 lecture, and I could rename that. When I save this, it'll update that file name in my course and make sure that the links remain intact in all of the places that the file was used. I can also search for those duplicates. Sometimes we upload the same image or file into our course multiple times, and you can search for those by adding those kind of ends that Canvas adds, like a -1, and streamline down to a single copy from there because I can see a frog might be in here multiple times. Let me check. In fact, it is. And guess what? That frog image is being used in two different places. So this allows me to locate the duplicate file, replace it in Streamline to a single copy. So I'm not performing accessibility work 2 times on the same item, right? Similarly, with your Canvas content, you can do this work as well. Now, you're not filtering for unused items, but you are sorting for used items in this view. Again, I'm seeing every piece of content in my course. I don't have to go into Pages Index and then into Quizzes Index, and then, you get the idea. And here I can review all of these items that aren't being used anywhere. For Canvas content, this means it's not, again, linked from any other content or it's not moduled. Do apply a little discretion here. Sometimes you have items in your course on purpose that way. For example, my homepage isn't moduled and isn't linked to from another place. I wouldn't want to delete my homepage, but I can use these trash can icons to delete items individually, select multiple and delete, and I can engage with all kinds of filters. Just like with the files area, I can also search for duplicates. You know, if you made a duplicate at some point intentionally, it'll have copy after it, and you can find out if you have a bunch of those. Or if you accidentally imported the same item more than once, you can do -2 or -3 or however many dashes for the number of times you accidentally imported the same item. So Tidy Up allows you to do this course cleanup really quickly. And if I were the instructor who completed my course cleanup and I'm feeling really excited, I can come back over to Ready Go and I can mark that item as complete here. And that's going to show view for anyone else who is viewing that course and that checklist with me. All right. I can also change the status of my course. So if I had finished that, if that were what I needed to do and all of my items here, I could say that this was ready, right? But I've got some other items on my checklist, so I don't need to change that status just yet. So let's jump back to our slides because we have really lightened that load.
And now it feels to me like we're pretty prepped and ready to pick up some speed, wouldn't you say? I feel like we efficiently packed and we have all the goodies we need to actually maybe even enjoy this upcoming trek.
Yeah, we have far fewer files and maybe we have our peanut butter pickle sandwiches ready. We've got, here comes the momentum. But we want to say all that preparation really does make the journey much smoother and allows you to actually gain some momentum as you continue on the accessibility journey, right? Just like other journeys, once we're out the door, we're focused on making progress and we're constantly learning at each turn, which all contributes to that ever important sense of momentum. I think of how, you know, I grow familiar with a route when I've driven it more than once, and it requires maybe less cognitive focus from me. Or maybe I no longer rely on GPS, or even better, perhaps I know my favorite stops along the way, right? So in the same way, when you're actively working toward an accessibility goal, the process and learning experience can really serve you in building momentum, both for the current leg of the journey and in the future. For example, if you're tackling all instances of alternative text issues in one sweep, that really reduces the cognitive load involved in that remediation process. And you start to feel like you've got cruise control on, right? The momentum is encouraging. And when you learn about accessibility issues while fixing them, that immediate practice really solidifies the learning and helps you design for accessibility going forward. And I think this is one of those keys when we talk about really helping support instructors during the accessibility process, as so many of you wanted to, know more about or figure out ways to do. And so our accessibility assistant, You Do It, is designed for just this purpose, to help streamline the accessibility remediation process and give you the momentum you need with the ability to easily identify and select the best way to get started and continue right from the home screen. And it supports learning along the way with embedded guidance and a really intuitive user experience. So let's go ahead and see that in action. Similarly, if I wanted to, find out what I might be working on for accessibility in this course, I can come into Ready Go again, and I can say, oh, I've got some accessibility tasks. Let me check those out here. And I can say, oh, I'm going to scan my course with You Do It. I'm going to do some PDF conversions. I'm going to add alt text to images. And I want to know more about that. And so I'm like, oh, hey, again, I've got some guidance here. And I'm going to go ahead and hop into You Do It and get started. So when I head into You Do It, and it loads, I'm actually going to be shown a scorecard that's going to look a little familiar to you because you saw it from the admin portion a moment ago. I have a welcome screen that helps if I need a little more information about You Do It, if I'm an instructor or something like that. But I'm going to just jump right in so we can see the scorecard. Looks familiar, but this one is just for my course, where the admin view that Jennifer showed earlier was to get a sense of this accessibility status across courses in an account or sub-account. This is just for my course. And I can say, hey, you know what? I feel pretty good about 83%, but I really want my course to be accessible for all learners. So this isn't enough for me. I want to keep going. And so I'm going to look at my scorecard here and I can see, hey, in my high impact area, I'm doing pretty good, but because this is a high impact area, I'm wondering where can I still improve? How can I get that score even higher? And if I drill in, I can see, okay, captions, page headings, those seem like they'll be quick fixes. Those scores are pretty high, but images is only at 76%. And you know what? I just had that link about alt text and images. This would be a great place for me to get started. So I can use the scorecard to get started working on all of the image issues in my course, streamlined to really help me make progress and gain that momentum because I'm working on kind of the same issue multiple times. So what does this look like for the instructor? They've selected images, they're ready to start reviewing items. They can just select review, and this pop-up will give them the idea of what the particular issue is. And then we're learning along the way, which really helps me gain some momentum. I get information about the fix that is required, the issue, and I can even explore further information. And so here I can see my really easy intuitive interface is that I get a preview of an image here that has alt text that's the image's file name. It's very easy to make adjustments to this because I can just type right in this space to describe this particular image if I needed to add alt text. I can also mark the image as decorative here, or excuse me, instead mark the image as decorative here, depending on the use case. So you may need to get some context for this image. You could expand your preview to see what's around the image if that helps you figure out, or you can open the page in a new tab so that you can determine, hey, what is the context for this image? Should it be decorative? Is it instructional? To kind of guide that process. But once I've created my fix, I can select save and I get a bunch of green check marks that I love that tell me the issue's resolved. 1, 2, 3 green check marks. Talk about trying to build some momentum there. I'm getting excited for all those green check marks. I can move to the next one. And remember, I'm still just working with images. So I now have a good sense for what to do with images and I can keep moving. And so here I see another one. Alternative text should not be the image file name. I've got this pineapple celebration image. Maybe every week I have the end of a module little celebration page and it has these pineapples. And you know, I shouldn't have it be the image alt text, but maybe it's really just decorative because it's cute, right? I don't need alt text necessarily describing this. But notice this additional check mark here. Because I have this image maybe on every one of my end of module pages, I can apply this fix to all identical issues, and it's going to take care of 15 image accessibility issues in my course in one sweep. Got a little cranky with me there because we're in our beta probably, but you can see that that goes through and it fixes those. Oh, I know why I deleted one of the pages earlier. So it tried to do 15, even though there were only 9. That's my bad. So when we do that, we are streamlining that process and moving through quickly. And now you can see that if we kept going, we'll find images that aren't exactly the same issue. I'll out of here so you can see it. Not all of them are alternative text should not be the image file name, but they're all keeping me focused on images. And I could keep going through each of these to clear those out. And when I did, I might think, gosh, that was easier than I really imagined. What else could I do? And if I come back to my home screen, I could continue with another issue here to select or an issue type, but I also have these other ways to get started. And I might think, what else can I do that's kind of easy? I can choose to get started with these ways over here. I'm brought to the same You Fix It area. And that You Fix It area just is essentially providing the items that I want to work on with filters that I've selected. And I can apply additional filters to really hone in on the work that I feel I can manage. For example, maybe my first week is an orientation module of pages. I can apply a pages filter. If I had a learner with a particular issue, maybe a visual issue that I was notified about, I can drill into those issues and clear those out. And these filters really allow me to work on what I need to work on. And so I can review some others here. Again, we have an alt text issue. I can decide that this image is decorative and move on to my next issue. We also, though, have some additional issue types. Let me sort by title so that we can see the forms I want to show you. Copy for me. Pop up here. Let's just show you a few. So I'm going to show you another one for color. If we're using color alone for emphasis, we can fix this issue really quickly by choosing to make the text bold to provide emphasis instead, or make the text italicized, or both. We can even remove color if the color wasn't supposed to be there. Perhaps it was that accidental copy and paste and it looks gray, that kind of issue. We also have issues where we can change the color contrast. These should have been sorting for me, so I apologize as I'm jumping around here. Yep. And just go to color so that you can see that. If you have a color contrast issue and you're working through that, it's very easy and you do it. I can't read that text at all. It's very easy and you do it to make adjustments to this. I can change the text color by bumping it down to make it much darker. But even if that were taking too long and you press the button too many times, I can show a color picker and I could say, actually, I prefer green. So go from there, right? Or maybe it was just supposed to be black from the beginning. And I can do all of that. So there's a lot of amazing features inside UDoIT that make it really easy to streamline that process for your instructors, to teach them along the way and have that user interface be really easy to work with. If I were thinking, okay, what else is really bogging down my score here? I might notice that my PDFs are at 49%. Oh boy, I want to do something about that. If I head into my PDFs, I can look at this file here and I can see any file issues associated with it. And similarly, when I select review in my files area, I have a pop-up, tells me the file name, allows me to download or view the file if I need to learn anything else about it. But what's really, really amazing about UDoIT in supporting your instructors, as so many of you are concerned about, is the ability to request these alternate formats. Certainly, because this is just a scanned file, it doesn't have the tags necessary for screen reader users to navigate it. So I could, of course, request an auto-tagged PDF and then replace this. But I want to point you to something that really helps distribute that load, which is requesting a Canvas page. UDoIT allows you to request a Canvas page from a PDF, which is going to move the accessibility considerations away from very specific software like Adobe Acrobat, where you have to learn how to tag, into a place where we're more familiar, where we might be able to distribute some of that accessibility work to those instructors, is inside the HTML of a Canvas page. And so when this process is happening, we can actually move forward to another file if we wanted to and keep going to really maintain that momentum. We don't have to sit and wait for this processing, although it is processing at this point. But look at that, that Canvas page is generated. And if I wanted to, I could go ahead and replace this inaccessible file with the Canvas page from over here. All right, that's not letting me do it. Let's go ahead and view it, just so we can get a sense for what this looks like now in Canvas. And it's just now plain text. So I could apply some headings to it to make it accessible, and it's ready to go. And inside UDoIT, I'm able to replace that file. It's not doing it right now, but I can replace it in Canvas. And what it's going to do is it's going to replace that file everywhere it's in use. And so we don't get the broken links, and I can delete it, delete the inaccessible file so that I'm not having that bog down my accessibility score any longer. So hopefully we've highlighted some of the ways that you can gain momentum by using UDoIT.
Awesome, Stephanie. And I have to add one more thing because of some of the questions we got. We aren't able to show you today, but we are working on a feature that will leverage AI in order to really help you gain momentum in doing those repetitive tasks like applying alt text or creating descriptive link text. And so stay tuned for that. We're going to show you at the very end the ways that you can stay on top of all our latest developments. But I really loved seeing that momentum building, Stephanie, as you worked through those issues. And I'm happy we've reached this segment because I think like in our treks and travels, we do have to stop and admire the view when we reach those milestones to really see how far we've come. And for me, on a particularly challenging hike, I love reaching that pit stop and pulling out my All Trails app to nerd out on the data around the distance and vertical gains and all that good stuff. And it's no different with accessibility, right? Documenting your progress comes with so many benefits. Yes, it's helpful for your compliance work, but it also allows you to celebrate all the work that you've done and sharing that load and working as a team. And it can inform your continuous improvement efforts as you prepare for the next leg of the journey. So now we're going to take a quick look back at the You Do It admin tool, where we have new forthcoming historical reports that will really give you the data you want to dive into to see the progress you can admire. So I'm going to cover this really quickly so we can get through the rest of our content today. So you can see I'm in the reporting area of the You Do It admin tool. And looking at this report, we can see a history of our different types of issues. We can see at a glance that they are going in the right direction. They're declining, right? Like that nice hike down. And however, we can also glean there's one bar here or line here that's going up. So what could explain the number of, the number of issues that are happening in our files? A type of report like this that shows us how things have changed over time could, for example, show us that maybe people are adding a lot of inaccessible files to their courses, and we really need to focus in on that as an area for improvement. And now Stephanie just showed you, you can give them the tools to more easily remediate those files by converting them to Canvas pages, which are so much more accessible. Let's take a look at one more report that really shows us the history of our score. So here we can see the score has been slowly rising over time, both our average total score as well as our average score of those categories, the different categories that we have. And so again, this is taking the data from the scorecard and plotting it out over time so we can really see the progress that we've made. And similarly, we can zoom out and see it in even bigger picture. So for example, we've been working at this for 3 months. It's a longer journey. We can really get to a sense of how steeply those scores have been climbing. So we just wanted to give you that glimpse of how those historical reports will really help you stop and admire your progress.
Absolutely. And so that is all of the segments of our less stress accessibility journey for you. But we do want to mention that, well, an accessibility journey is an ongoing one where you'll set your next destination and keep progressing. So lastly, we want to say, as you go forward in your accessibility journey, don't forget to leverage the power of Design Plus, which is our must-have time-saving tool set for every course designer and educator creating courses in Canvas. If you haven't seen Design Plus, know that you can rapidly build and style high-quality courses that make learning engaging and accessible for all students right from the initial design. Talk about a big time saver, right? And you can say farewell to clunky template distribution, since creating and distributing accessible templates is really simple with Design Plus. And with superpowered features like converting a table to columns with a single selection and other really easy to use accessibility and usability checkers, Design Plus makes your accessibility journey so much smoother and I'd argue quite fun. All right, so we have 3 minutes at this point.
Yeah, we are quickly trying to answer as many questions in Q&A as we possibly can. So our team is going to make sure that you get your questions answered, and we will share those back out with the same file that we send out tomorrow. So I am sorry that we don't have a ton of time today for that, but we do want to make sure that you have all the links and updated information about what's coming up. 2025 is brimming with exciting destinations for you. You can join us in the new year with a webinar to conjure up some quick creativity with Design Plus. That's the one we'll be showing the new content wizard. So if you've been asking about how do I get someone started who's new to Design Plus, this is going to be the answer to that. We also have our Design Matters Live series that every month we'll be sharing real challenges where we take research and show how you can improve your Canvas courses. We're recovering increasing instructor presence and interaction in January. And then we've got other topics, consistency, removing obstacles, and interactivity. All of these have been suggested by you. In February, we also have the University of Denver. They just did a session at OLC, and they're coming back to talk about how they are using Design Plus to benefit instructional designers, faculty, and students, a win-win-win situation. And we have a couple of destinations marked for 2025. You can find Cidi Labs from California to Texas to Florida, just to name a few of the locations we're going to be showing up for educational conferences in 2025. Come by our booth, get some swag, can help make your travel even more easy if you have a shirt or sunglasses from Cidi Lab. And lastly, we want to make sure that you have some links to stay connected with us. I'm going to drop a whole bunch in chat for you so you can get our newsletter, sign up for our monthly digest, check out any webinars that you may have missed. I'm going to drop all those now in the chat.
And while you're doing that, Kristen, I'll just say, first of all, thank you to our amazing team behind the scenes answering those questions fastly and furiously. If your question did not get answered, please reach out to us. Our website has a contact us link, and we love hearing from you. If you have any questions at all, or we really encourage you to sign up for that live demo in which you get that one-on-one attention to really dive as deep as you want on any of those features. I know we threw a lot at you today, but setting up a one-on-one meeting, we'd love to meet with you. And we can answer any and all of your questions in that type of a session too. We encourage you to do so, but hopefully we got to the majority of your questions. And again, thank you so much for your time and attention today. Like any good journey, I am both exhilarated and exhausted.
Yes.
All right. Are we ready to wrap?
I think that's it. Enjoy the rest of your day and make sure to enjoy some snacks.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.